Hi, my angels, and welcome back to another video. Now, today we are talking about something that I know so many people feel when they are manifesting in a specific person, but they don't always say it out loud. And it's the fear that your person might just become the perfect partner, not for you though. Like they might grow, they might mature, commit, or become emotionally available. Maybe they become consistent, become everything that you've ever wanted, but you have this underlining fear that they're going to do it for someone else. Now, if you've ever had that thought pop up in your mind, I want you to know right now that you are not crazy and you are definitely not the only person who has ever felt this way. I actually have had a lot of people come in and ask about this exact fear, especially in my client sessions recently. And I feel this is a very, very deep subconscious story that a lot of people do tend to carry without realizing it. And I think sometimes in the manifestation space, people feel almost embarrassed to admit that this is what they are afraid of because it's not just that simple belief that you can just easily persist over all the time. And it's not just this, okay, I'm scared of a third party, right? It's deeper than that. It's what if I wasn't the one that they became better for? What if I was the lesson? What if I was the girl that they hurt and then somebody else gets the healed version of them? What if I build them for their wife? And those thoughts are very hurtful. They cut deep because it's not just jealousy or comparison, and it's not just being triggered by something out in your 3D and it doesn't mean anything, right? It is a fear of being replaceable. It is really touching that fear of maybe being the placeholder or even just that fear that someone else could receive the version of them that you were praying for. So when that thought lands in your body, every single time, you're going to notice that your nervous system is reacting. So maybe you feel anxious. You start comparing, you start spiraling. You might feel this in your chest and your stomach and your throat. It can literally feel like something is slipping away from you or like you were almost chosen, but not ever fully. So, I really wanted to make this video today to talk about this in a more honest way because when people have this fear, it usually does not just stay in the mind. It tends to really show up in your behaviors and the ways that you are either interacting with other people or just in your 3D in general. So, even whenever you're doing the self talk, you're affirming, you're scripting, visualizing, and then maybe you react and you might even do these things to yourself. So, you might blow up, you might shut down, you might ghost first because you want to protect yourself. You might be obsessively checking for evidence, you might become very hyper vigilant and you might make yourself like way too available, or maybe you start people pleasing, right? You might overanalyze every single little thing that they do. And none of that means that you just can't get this to work for you. It means that there is still a root belief running in your system. Now, for me, understanding the root is what was able to change everything because once I understood why exactly my mind was doing this, I stopped judging myself as much and I could actually start focusing on myself and start healing and rewiring this process because our brains are wired for pattern recognition. So for me, I was blaming every single person, even though it was coming out the same circumstances. I was looking at, okay, is it my type? Is it the guys I'm choosing? What's going on? So, what I realized though was it is not that. It was because I had experienced different experiences of rejection, abandonment, inconsistency, betrayal, being chosen second, being compared to someone else, or feeling like I had to earn love. Okay. So these could be stories that your brain is taking in. And anytime you have experiences like that, it is stored as a memory. So then your brain does what it thinks is its job and it tries to protect you. So it'll start making those predictions. It'll start saying, don't get too excited. This is probably going to happen again. Someone else might be better than you. Don't trust this. Don't relax. What if they meet someone else? Watch closely. Really prepare yourself. And the mind in this moment thinks that it is helping you and it thinks it's protecting you from pain. So, a lot of times, what I've noticed is when my clients have these thoughts or feelings come up, the first thing they want to do is start affirming like crazy or visualizing like crazy over top of this. But it is still very active in your body and running in the background because What it's really doing is it's keeping you emotionally stuck in an old story and keeping your nervous system wired to a very specific emotional pattern. So sometimes this fear is not even actually about your specific person. It's truly about the identity that you're carrying, that identity of being the one that people leave, or the one that they learn from, but they don't stay with, or the woman who gets almost everything except for the full final commitment. Or maybe you find yourself in situations where you keep attracting people that don't want anything serious, or they seem to have a lot of options or other priorities, whether it's career, distance, family, whatever it is. All of these things are happening because it is the identity that is running underneath all of this. So, of course, a third party or the idea of a third party is going to feel massively activating to your system because it is poking that exact wound. And this is where the manifestation and nervous system work really meet each other because, yes, what we assume about ourselves and what we assume about love always shapes the experiences that we tend to allow, notice, and emotionally live in. So, if somewhere deep in the subconscious the story is, I'm the one that people change for after, or I'm the one people leave, or I'm the one who gets the potential but never the best version. I'm always the one who is helping build them for someone else. I'm not the one who ever gets commitment. It's just so hard to find someone like that. Then your body and your nervous system and your reticular activating system are going to continue to keep scanning the world for proof of that story. Now, this does not mean it's because this was your destiny that's written out or a fact or just how life goes for you. It's simply because there is still a very dominant belief running the show of the story. Okay. So if you truly feel like you have done everything, then I know that if it is not yet in your reality, there's definitely still doubts running. And I think a lot of this comes from doubting the process, even if you swear you've done all the affirmations, all the self talk that you needed to for the day, all the mirror work, whatever technique you choose. A lot of you are still doubting the process. Okay. So, a lot of the pain and manifestation that comes with it, it's not exactly the desire itself. It's really just the panic that comes from not trusting your process or your timeline. You're not trusting your worth and you're not trusting that what is meant for you can actually arrive for you. So when we don't trust the process, what happens? We get very impatient. We start comparing, we try to over control, we question ourselves, and we're starting to think, why them and not me? We think, maybe this happens for other people, but not for me. Maybe I'm just delusional. And all of these thought patterns is exactly where a lot of third party fears live as well, because it lives in the comparison, it lives in this sense of urgency and this self questioning. It really lives in the idea of you forgetting your worth and always trying to control the outside because the inside does not feel safe yet. So, if that is where you are, I really want you to hear me that someone becoming a better version of themselves does not mean that you are not worthy of that version. Someone else being in the picture does not mean you are any less valuable than you already are right now in this moment. And you do not have to keep identifying as the person who just gets left behind, because the real mind shift starts when you stop carrying the identity of being replaceable, when you stop assuming you are the almost, when you stop expecting yourself to be the lesson for that person, and when you stop telling the story that someone else is always going to get the best of what you wanted. Because you guys have to understand this is internal shifts first, and then the external will always reflect it, because the moment that identity will start dissolving, you genuinely start showing up so differently. You're no longer moving from this sense of panic and urgency and from fear, and you stop acting from the version of you that is bracing for rejection, and you actually allow yourself to begin embodying the version of you that expects to be chosen, valued, expects to be met, and expects to have a love feel very safe for them. Okay. Because a lot of these things is you can sit here and affirm all day long for your specific person and for your internal shifts. But then in the same breath, when you're having conversations with them, maybe you'll catch yourself, if you're anything like me, because this is something that I noticed within myself, is I was doing all this work, but then when my SP would come in, I would always start talking about my past and keep reminding them of all the things that happened and bring up things or like, oh, you did this. Are you sure you're not going to do this? Are you sure I can trust you? Please be good. And it came off very insecure, very, very, very insecure. And it was not coming from a place of someone who knew that they were secure in themselves, someone who knew that they deserve to be chosen. Because if I genuinely believe those things about myself, we would be able to have conversations. We would be able to have busy days and still focus on ourselves without me constantly checking my phone and being like, okay, are they with someone else? Are they doing this? That energy comes off so icky. It comes off so icky. And I really was able to realize that when I was watching my patterns and behaviors and my thoughts when my SP was coming in and how I was reacting to that. So, the biggest game changer for me is EFT tapping because that is why I truly do believe it is so, so powerful because a lot of these fears are not just thoughts. They are emotional memories. They are body memories. They are in your nervous system. And when something is living inside of your body like that, you can't always just logic your way out of it. You can't always just affirm over it one time and expect your body to immediately feel safe because even whenever you're in certain situations with your SP, you will notice your body kind of brace or lock up or not be able to communicate or even just enjoy the present moment with this person because you're so in your head and in your body not feeling safe and your body is trying to process a way of like we need to find her safety right now and it can come out in a number of habits and behaviors that are not in alignment with the version of you who is in that secure relationship. So sometimes your body needs to learn and understand, hey, we are safe enough to release this now. And that is what tapping has done for me because it really helped me disrupt all of these patterns emotionally, not just mentally. And it really helped me create safety around things that used to really, really trigger me, really trigger me. But it really helped me move like all of this old energy out instead of just pretending that I was above it because once I met it where it was at, I was able to neutralize it and I was able to finally then release it and show up very differently. So, if this resonates with you, I want you to tap with me. You know, it is my favorite part. And I want you to just take a breath with me. And you can pause this here if you need to. That way you can get comfortable. Put both feet on the floor if that feels good. Place your hand on your chest for a second. And I want you to just notice what is here. I want you to notice what comes up when you think about this fear. Maybe it is sadness. Maybe it's jealousy. Maybe it is anger. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's still that nagging little voice that says, what if they become everything I wanted for someone else? Maybe it's the fear of being forgotten or replaced, but whatever it is that you are feeling and you are acknowledging that is here, you do not have to judge it. You do not have to rush it away. We are simply going to meet it, acknowledge it, and start releasing it together. And this is how you are going to neutralize fear. That way, when you shift your awareness on what you want, your mind and body can be in sync and be ready to be fully on board with what it is that you are asking to receive. Okay, so we're going to start with the karate chop. So, even though a part of me is afraid that my person might become better for someone else, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though this fear shows up and it makes me feel so easily replaceable, I feel a little unwanted or like I'm always second best. I really choose to meet myself with compassion right now. Because even though a part of me is scared that someone else might receive the version of them that I always wanted, I am open to releasing this fear and creating a new story. Because even though this fear has felt so real in my body, I am safe enough to begin softening now. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, gonna do eyebrow point. This fear of being replaced. This fear that they might treat someone else better than what they treated me. This fear that someone else could get the version of this person that I really wanted. This fear that someone else could get the exact love that I wanted. This story, my mind just keeps replaying What if they become perfect for someone else? What if I was just another lesson? Underneath the arm? What if I was just the placeholder? Then all of this anxiety about being left behind, this nagging fear that I helped build them for somebody else, this fear that I won't be the one who gets chosen in the end, this fear that I am just somehow not enough, this fear that someone else is better than me. All of this old pain in my body, all of this old stories, all of these old experiences that live in my nervous system, this deep fear of not being the one. I can feel just how deeply this hurts. Mila wants to say hi. I acknowledge that this fear is here. I acknowledge that my mind was simply just trying to protect me. But I'm ready to recognize now that I learned this from old pain and old experiences. Maybe I learned this from rejection, inconsistency, and comparison in the past. So I learned to stay on guard. I learned to prepare for disappointment. I learned to scan for all the signs that I might not be chosen. And that does not mean that there is something wrong with me. I'm able to recognize that this was just a protection pattern. This was just my nervous system trying to keep me safe. But I know now that I no longer need this pattern in order to survive anymore. I do not need to keep expecting loss or disappointment or for things to not go my way when it comes for love. I no longer need to keep bracing for rejection or pain or suffering anymore. I do not need to keep carrying this identity of being replaceable. I can have compassion for the part of me that believe this, and I can start choosing something new right now in this moment. So I release the idea that someone else is more deserving than me. I release this silly idea that love works for others, but just not for me. I fully release the comparison. I release all of this urgency. I release this need to obsess, control, and monitor. I release the story that I am the almost. I release the story that I'm just the one people grow for later. I release this fear of being second. I do not have to continue to abandon myself just because I feel a little triggered. I no longer have to spiral to protect myself or scan my 3D for evidence. I don't have to keep overperforming for love or begging for reassurance from my partner. I know that I do not have to compete for what is meant for me. I do not have to prove my worth to anyone or anything. It is just a knowing. I do not have to be prettier, better, calmer, or more perfect in order to be chosen by who I want. My worth is not in competition. My value is not up for debate. I am irreplaceable. I am unforgettable. I am incomparable. I am not the lesson. I am not second best. I know I am the first and best choice. I am worthy of being fully chosen now. I am fully aware of my worth and value now. And I am worthy of a love that shows up for me effortlessly and naturally. I am worthy of a love that feels so safe and just like home. Take a deep breath. I am worthy of consistency, and consistency is very natural for me. I am worthy of devotion and commitment. I am someone people value deeply. I know that my presence matters. My presence is worth millions. I know that my love matters and my love feels like home. I know that my energy matters and my energy is so magnetizing and so radiant because I know that I deserve to be met exactly where I am. I know that I deserve a love that is always growing with me. I know that I deserve to feel secure and being chosen. Okay, take a deep breath. Last round, we're going to go into receiving. So I allow myself to receive that kind of love now. I am learning to trust the process. I am learning to trust my worth and trust my inner world more than external validation. I am learning to trust that what is for me does not need fear to hold it together. My body feels safe receiving the exact love that I've been asking for. I do not need to control everything to be safe, and I no longer need to compare myself to be chosen. I do not need to continue to panic to make love happen. I can relax into being the version of me that already knows I am worthy and that already knows this is done. I allow my body to feel safe receiving exactly what I want, and I am choosing a new story now. Okay, now take a deep breath. Okay. Now, when it comes to manifesting in a specific person and having these fears, these are something that are so common for a lot of people. Now, if you want more help on figuring out exactly why you may have created the third party, not that it is important, I just know when it was me, it gave me so much relief fully understanding that I wasn't seeing myself as the version who could obtain secure love. There were some things I needed to release and let go of, and there was still a huge identity gap when it came to getting what I wanted in love. So once I did this nervous system regulation and I was able to reprogram in that way, I wasn't having to focus on that person at all or getting rid of the third party in order for it to happen. It just genuinely naturally would come to me. And that's exactly what I've seen happen for so many clients. So if this video helped you, I know it unlocked an aha moment. I am not a coach that's going to tell you to affirm and persist over top of all of these different things that might be coming up, because you deserve to believe that you are someone who is naturally committed to, who is the best choice, and who always ends up in reciprocated relationships that are mutually beneficial. It's really you stepping into the version of you who understands it is easy for you to trust your person and trust love to work out for you and genuinely trust yourself in the process as well. Okay. So if you are dealing with any of this and you want more help with any of these limiting beliefs that might be surfacing, I do have courses. I have a free 21-day self concept challenge, and I also offer one on one coaching. Okay. So I want you to just notice anything in your body after doing this tapping, if anything softened for you, even just a little bit, because a lot of times, whenever we are releasing these fears, the nervous system can start to come out of defense mode. Okay. So when that happens, you're not going to feel as hijacked by the old stories, and you can actually start relating to yourselves and to love from a different place. So I just want to leave you with this tapping, and I know it's a bit of a longer video today, but I really wanted it to sink in that you're not going out here and changing anything. All of those things are naturally going to come because you are the source of everything. So if you have any video suggestions too on other tappings or specific circumstances, I want to make sure that you feel heard, you feel seen, you feel understood, and that way you can allow yourself to become the exact version of you who does make getting this type of love something very natural and normal for you. So this was a little bit of a longer video. I appreciate you for staying and watching. So until next time, my loves.